Does dairy consumption cause insulin resistance or reduce it? I drink about 10 to 12 cups of white coffee or tea a day. Then, after every meal, I have a dessert with Greek yogurt. I don't use sugar or sweeteners. I was wondering what it's doing to my insulin resistance. The relationship between dairy consumption and insulin resistance is more complex than you might think. Recent research reveals surprising findings that challenge common assumptions about dairy and diabetes risk. When you consume dairy, your pancreas releases far more insulin than expected. We're talking about 3 to 6 times more insulin than what the carbohydrate content alone would suggest. This massive insulin surge happens every time you have dairy products. The extra insulin doesn't cause by lactose, the natural sugar in milk. Researchers gave people pure lactose to test this theory. When they consumed just the lactose, their insulin response matched what scientists expected. This tells us that something else in dairy causes this dramatic insulin spike. The culprit appears to be the proteins in milk, especially whey protein. Research show that whey protein can increase your post-meal insulin response by up to 90%. That's nearly double the normal response. Other milk proteins and amino acids released during digestion also contribute to this effect. Now, you might think this sounds alarming. But the story becomes more complicated when we look at long-term health outcomes. A large analysis of multiple research found something unexpected. People who consumed the most dairy products had a 14% lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes compared to those who ate the least dairy. This finding came from combining data from thousands of people across different countries. The type of dairy matters significantly. Low-fat dairy products showed even better results. People consuming low-fat dairy had an 18% lower diabetes risk. For every serving of low-fat dairy consumed daily, the risk dropped by 10%. Non-sweet yogurt emerged as particularly beneficial, with regular consumption linked to a 14% reduction in diabetes risk. Wait, there is more, but do not forget to hit the like button if you think this video is useful. But what about that insulin spike we mentioned earlier? This creates an interesting paradox. Dairy causes your body to produce more insulin immediately after eating. However, this doesn't seem to translate into insulin resistance over the long term for most people. Several research suggests the opposite may be true. One study followed 272 middle-aged women for 7 days, carefully measuring their dairy intake and insulin sensitivity. Surprisingly, higher dairy consumption was associated with increased insulin resistance in this group. This remained true even after accounting for factors like age, weight, physical activity, and overall diet quality. But this finding conflicts with the larger body of research showing protective effects. The timing and context of dairy consumption may explain these contradictory findings. When you eat dairy with high glycemic foods like white bread or potatoes, something beneficial happens. The dairy proteins, particularly whey, help reduce the blood sugar spike that would normally occur. A study with people who have type 2 diabetes found this effect very clearly. Adding whey protein to high carbohydrate meals reduced the blood sugar response by 21% after lunch. Your body's immediate response to dairy involves several mechanisms. The proteins in dairy stimulate the release of hormones that help control blood sugar. These include hormones that signal your pancreas to produce insulin and others that slow down digestion. This coordinated response helps prevent dangerous blood sugar spikes. However, some nutrition experts worry about the long-term effects of repeatedly triggering such high insulin responses. The concern is that constantly stimulating your pancreas might eventually lead to insulin resistance. It's like overworking a muscle, which might make it less responsive over time. Recent research using milk protein supplements provides additional insights. A comprehensive analysis of 36 research involving over 1,800 people found encouraging results. Participants taking milk protein supplements showed improvements in several key markers. Their fasting blood glucose levels dropped by small amount. Most importantly, their insulin resistance scores improved significantly. The benefits appeared to depend on several factors. The duration of supplementation mattered. People who took milk protein supplements for more than 8 weeks showed better results than those who took them for shorter periods. The amount also made a difference. Higher doses of 60 grams or more per day produced more pronounced benefits. But not all research agree on dairy's effects. One carefully controlled study gave participants 1 liter per day of either milk, sugar-sweetened soft drinks, diet soft drinks, or water for 6 months. After this extended period, researchers found no differences in insulin sensitivity between any of the groups. The milk didn't improve or worsen insulin function compared to the other beverages. The type of study design influences these results significantly. Short-term research often shows dairy causing immediate insulin spikes. But longer-term observational research consistently shows protective effects against diabetes. This suggests that your body may adapt to dairy consumption over time, potentially developing more efficient ways to handle the insulin response. Age and health status also influence how dairy affects your insulin sensitivity. Research in healthy, younger adults often show neutral or slightly negative effects. But research in older adults or those at risk for diabetes consistently shows benefits. This age-related difference might explain some of the conflicting findings in the research. The fat content of dairy products creates another layer of complexity. Full-fat dairy products showed less dramatic protective effects compared to low-fat versions in most research. But full-fat dairy didn't increase diabetes risk either. The relationship appears neutral for whole milk and cheese, while low-fat milk and yogurt provide clear benefits. Processing and fermentation change how dairy affects your blood sugar control. Yogurt and other fermented dairy products consistently show the strongest protective effects. The beneficial bacteria in these products may help improve your body's ability to handle glucose. These probiotics work with your digestive system to enhance insulin sensitivity. The overall dietary pattern matters enormously. Dairy consumption appears most beneficial when it's part of a healthy diet rich in vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins. When dairy is consumed alongside processed foods and refined sugars, the benefits may be diminished or even reversed. Individual responses to dairy vary significantly. Some people experience more dramatic insulin responses than others. Genetic factors, gut bacteria composition, and existing health conditions all influence how your body handles dairy products. This individual variation explains why some research shows conflicting results. For most people, moderate dairy consumption appears safe and potentially beneficial for blood sugar control. The key is choosing the right types of dairy products and consuming them as part of a balanced diet. Low-fat options like Greek yogurt, skim milk, and reduced-fat cheese offer the best combination of benefits with minimal risks. The current evidence suggests that dairy's immediate insulin-stimulating effects don't translate into long-term insulin resistance for most healthy individuals. Instead, regular dairy consumption may help protect against diabetes development through multiple mechanisms, including improved insulin sensitivity and better blood sugar control. Do not forget to click the like button and subscribe. On the screen, you see an essential video for you. Thanks very much for watching this video. References are in the comments section. See you in the next video.